Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. We are group 4 from L03T02 and today we are going to present about our technical report project which is about the DC motor fan control using DHT11. In this presentation, there will be 6 main parts starting from the abstract and will followed by the first chapter which is introduction, literature review, methodology, result analysis and will end with chapter 5, the conclusion. And before we start, we would like to express our highest gratitude to our lecturer, Madam Maziatul Husni, for all the guidance and assistance upon completing this assignment. Not to forget to all team members who put a lot of effort and also to all people who had cooperated with us. Hi, my name is Muhammad Zikri and I'm going to proceed by explaining about the abstract and then I also will continue to the chapter 1, introduction. So in this project is actually was designed to control the speed of DC motor that in this case represents the regular fan that will depends the speed was actually depends to the room temperature, and this was done by implementing what we call as DHT11 sensor, which the temperature and humidity sensor that will collect data from the surrounding temperature and will send it to what we call as nucleo. So what is nucleo? Nucleo is actually act as a brain to the whole system that will regulate the appropriate amount of voltage to be sent to the DC to the DC motor, so that the speed will change, will have a variety according to the temperature that was detected by the DHT11 sensor. So that was actually the whole how the system works, and I'm going to proceed with chapter 1. Okay, so in this chapter introduction, I'm going to start by explaining about the research background. So as we all know, in these modern days, we can actually easily found DC fan like everywhere, especially in supermarket, or I would say every household must have DC fan. This is all because DC fan is very suitable to use for everyone. It is also very affordable, and also it uses less energy to compare with air conditioner, which is high in cost. But if we talk about in terms of the industrial, there will always a room for improvement in terms of adding additional value to the function of DC fan. This can be done by implementing a specific certain components like microchips to extend the functions of DC fan to not just give the cooling effect, but to also help to counter other problems. So in this research, it came to our concern that there are certain cases happening that risking about the health issues, health condition, which is came from overheated, and it is suggested that this problem can be solved by creating a DC fan that can regulate its own speed so that it can regulate the temperature of the room effortlessly, automatically, which also can be beneficial to everyone. I'm going to proceed with explaining about the problem statement. So as we all know, our country, Malaysia, lies in the equatorial line, which means that we receive tons of rain and also sunny annually, alternately, like every year. So which means that our country have both cold and hot at the same time. So this makes certain places, like especially in major cities in like in Kuala Lumpur, to have certain issues with the hot temperature. And if we look back, the temperature of a certain place was actually affected by the room temperature was affected by speed of fan, if the room used fan. Okay, so then this was actually can lead to a serious case, which will risk about the health conditions, which especially to consider about the elderly or about the child, about the newborn who cannot uh, control the speed of the fan by themselves. They need help. So by developing this project, we are aiming to cater all this problem, and by doing this, which is something that is new in the industry, this was actually will help uh, develop the in the DC fan industry beyond to the next level. And in terms of in this case, in our project, we put a temperature sensor to the DC fan so that the fan will regulate its own speed to maintain a suitable temperature for a particular room. Okay, for the research objectives, we have listed two main objectives, which is the first one is that to develop a fan that can adjust its own speed in proportion to the room temperature. And also the next one is to design and build a DC motor fan control using temperature sensor. So this is actually was what guided us throughout the development of our project. And when we talk about the scope that we covered for this project, there are three main things that we only covered in this project, which is the first one about the DHT11 sensor. This is a microprocessor sensor that can detect temperature and humidity by make it work with other software, which is, as mentioned before, the Nucleo. And also this project will only covers about DC fan, and as we all know, there are so many types of DC fan. Like we're talking about Dyson, which is the bladeless DC. So but in this project we only cover the regular DC fan, because it is actually our first step before we can go further to develop our project. And also since we are explaining the terms of heat, so we are using the specific place, which is Kuala Lumpur, because we have done our research that says that Kuala Lumpur is having an issues with temperature, which was known as urban heat island, and this was actually affects the citizens there. So by doing this, we hope that it is a good start to develop our project by 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 starting with this small scope. Then later for future development, the scope will getting larger. When we talk about the significance of the study, from our research, we had found out that there are 5 million cases of death reported each year that were resulted from overheated and overcold conditions, which indicates that the heat-related deaths are also at its risk. And this statement has become our major argument for developing this product. And if we look back at certain perspectives, this may actually causes by the fact that there are not so many auto-regulated speed fan in the market, which causes these cases to be continuously happening each year and continue each year. So this is actually a serious problem that we need to overcome before it getting worse. So and by having this project, it is actually the first start to step up in controlling this problem from getting worse. And it is actually suggested that this project to be first implemented in Malaysia first, because as mentioned before, our country are having both hot and cold condition at the same time. So that's actually a good state to test our project functionality. And then from that side, we gather data, all the data, and do postmortem and so on. Then we will continue to develop our project further to make it beneficial to not only in Malaysia, but also beneficial to all people around the globe. And regarding to the current study, So there are some limitations of the project, which first, the sensor that we are using, which is the DHT11, was actually less advanced from the other sensor, but actually uh, we chose to use the basic one first because we actually want to get the first impression. We want to get the first insight on how the implementation of the temperature sensor at DC fan will make a contribution to the society. So, and then we also would like to mention that our study only specific to certain places regarding the heat, which is in Kuala Lumpur, which also has mentioned before. Kuala Lumpur is having an issue with urban heat island, and this makes the study to become easier to understand on how the heat affect the citizen, on how heat affect society. And also the last one is our project may not be having a fixed market price, because currently we are using only the regular DC fan, but the price of the fan itself was determined by how the DC fan, how the design of the DC fan. So like as mentioned before, if we design the DC fan uh, advanced like the Dyson, so the price might get higher. But if we design it like a simple one, like the regular one, so the price maybe get lower. And we also would like to mention that for this project, we are always aiming to make sure that our project is affordable to all society, to all layers of society, which later was discussed in the questionnaire that was conducted to a certain participants, that may become a reference for our future development. So that's all for chapter 1. I'm going to proceed with chapter 2, which will be presented by Abdullah Zubair. Thank you.
Thank you, Zikri Afka. Uh, my name is Muhammad Abdullah Zubair bin Muhammad Fadil. So I would like to present about chapter two, which is article review. For the introduction, in this chapter, some article from the various resource were reviewed and evaluated according to the respective topic. So the first topic is the first article is STM32 with DH311 sensor. DHT11 is a composite sensor that contain a calibrate digital signal output of the temperature and humidity. The DHT11 sensor also very cheap, so we use at our project. The data pin of the DHT11 will connect to the input of the STM32 to send the signal and information to STM32. The main code for this project is PWM, which is pulse width modulation. The function of PWM is to control the digital signal amplitude to control devices that running with power or electricity as its power source. The second article is climate change and urban heat island, which or we can call it UHI in Malaysia. This topic can be major factor that need to concern for the development of the auto control speed fan. In Malaysia, we have tropical climate, which is having hot and humidity temperature throughout the year. There is problem that correlate with city, which is UHI. I mean urban heat island. UHI is when heat that produced by sunlight and human activity were trapped in urban city. As the city is packed with building covered in glass and less tree, which resulting the heat uh, to be reflect and trapped in the city. Okay, the third article is describing DC motor. Uh, DC motor is any rotary electrical motor that convert electrical energy into the mechanical energy. It's commonly seen in industrial application such as machine tool, winding and unwinding machine, and terrorism. For this chapter, it can be concluded that some specific topic has been discussed to give a context regarding the studies in developing the project by the providing the literature by providing the article review uh, about STM32 and DHT11 climate change and UHI and describing DC motor. The purpose of the project development is justify with the support from the relevant data from the previously academic journal and website. That's all from me. Thank you. So I would like to pass to Shahmin. Sorry. So I would like to pass to Shahirin to present about topic 3.
Chapter 3 Methodology. Our project hardware design has two circuits to be paid attention to. First is the connection of the DHT11 and secondly is the main circuit. For the circuit of DHT11, the data pin is connected to PA2 pin, which is the input pin of the STM32. The VCC pin is connected to the 5V pin of the STM32 and the ground pin to the ground pin of STM32. Altogether is 3 pin connected to the STM32. For the main circuit, it uses STM32L053R8 as the microcontroller, which is the brain of the circuit. The ST11 sensor as the input and DC motor fan as the output. Moving to the software design, there are 10 software tasks need to be developed and tasks. The tasks are creating project, clock configuration, initializing GPIO, initializing USAT2, initializing timer, initializing check DHT11 response and transmits, reading the raw data and transmits, obtaining data and checksum of DHT11 then transmits, getting the temperature, humidity and transmits, finally controlling the DC motor fan speed. For the functionality, the speed of the fan will be kept at 50% when it is below 26 degrees Celsius, and then 70% speed when the temperature is in 27 to 29 degrees Celsius, and 100% when it's above 30 degrees Celsius. The hardwares were tested and there are two aspects to be considered. The DC motor to spin according to the temperature and the ST11 to sense the current temperature and humidity. Both of them pass excellently. Next, for the software, generally there is only one aspect to be considered, which is to display the data like the temperature and humidity, and also the checksum and the transmits pass. If it fails, it also needs to be displayed to the teraterm. The teraterm is the standard serial terminal that we use that will display the messages. For the next chapter, I'm passing the presentation to Muhammad Amirul Shahmin. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Amir Shahmin bin Muhammad Saufi. I am from Group 4 and our project is auto-regulated DC motor fan. So I will be explaining about result and analysis from the development. So it contains questionnaire result, project test result and system integration. So firstly, for questionnaire result, we did a questionnaire or a survey for random people to answer them, so that we can know about the statistic of what we want in our development of project. So firstly, there's a total of 30 respondents participated in the questionnaire. 56.7% of respondents uses this event more than 4 hours regularly. And from these respondents, we see that the demographic is aged between 20 to 25, which is university students, and most of them are using these events for studying and sleeping. Only 30% of respondents uses this event to 1 to 4 hours, and 13.3% uses less than 1 hour in a day. For the question about weather in Malaysia, 63% of our respondents think Malaysia is both hot and rainy, while 36% of combined answers between hot and dry and mostly rain. So this is we did a research on internet. Malaysia is both hot and rainy, and the weather is not uh, cannot be expected. So mostly in big cities, uh, Malaysia have UHI, which is urban heat island, a phenomena where uh, major cities have warmer temperature rather than the rural area surrounding it. Next, 93% of respondents agreed to use smart technology, as smart technology very convenient and is our task daily. 53% of respondents estimated that such technology would be around 100 to 200, and only 13% of them thinks that it would be over 301 ringgit. This is because Malaysia average Malaysian income B40, and they want something to have a reasonable price, but also offer a great performance. So we also asked about respondents' knowledge about smart technology. Only 63% answered on a scale of 1 to 5. They answered 4 and 5. And the others are 3 and lower. Next, only 76% of respondents never heard about the temperature sensor. Only 16.7% heard about it. Um, Next, 66% of respondents have had discomfort while sleeping due to temperature, uh, sometimes extremely hot and sometimes extremely cold. Finally, 76% of respondents supported the idea to develop the auto-regulated speed DC fan, which is they selected the scale from scale 1 to 5, they selected scale 5. For the next subtopic is the project test result. We did run many uh, tests, and this is the final outcome. If you can see, the final temperature right there is 26.7, which the fan will power up until 70% of power, and then this one is 28%, which is 100% of power. Finally, the system integration. We are using embedded C language coding. So all code files are added to the system code, and we use USAT module to assist us in system integration and debugging between STM32 and the programming software. The DC motor fan are written to respond to temperature changes. and also humidity. The temperature can be observed on serial terminal on teraterm. So this is the final test. This is what it looks like when the whole system, the whole project is working properly. However, uh, we also tested the project if there are possibility that it will fail. So what we did was we pull out one cable. So we cut off the connection between STM32 and the HT11 temperature sensor, and this is what happened. The transmit is passed. However, the response failed so many times because this is due to the fact that the programming will try again and again until the response success. So that is my presentation. I will pass to Ikmal Laim.
Thank you to Muhammad Amirul Syahmin for passing to me. I will explain about the conclusion of our project and our recommendation for future development. First of all, we made this product running as DC motor fan speed control using DHT11. This gadget allows the user to better control the air quality in their environment. All the project objectives were met with remarkable success. But for the future recommendation, we suggest modifying the product by giving it a better and more sensitive sensor. We will also add a few codes to the application so that the user may use their phones to switch on the device. And finally, we recommend using this product as a starting point for a smart home redesign.